Hello, everybody. Welcome to my Friday Pelvic Wellness Corner. Today, I have a privilege of having Tanya Ward with me, and she is a professional and expert in energy healing. And yeah, so I just wanted to introduce her to everybody here. She's a transformational coach, energy medicine practitioner who help midlife women move from burnout to and fear to clarity, confidence, and joy. Her signature Ignite Your Spirit method helps women reconnect to their truth, reset their energy, and finally feel like themselves again. So welcome, Tanya. So I would love to ask you some questions, and more people will get to know more about your work. So um, what led you into energy medicine and soul healing? And how do you describe your work to someone who's new to it?
That's a good question. First of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited for this conversation and to bridge both of our work. I've known some of your work, but I'm interested to know more as well. Um, so getting back to your question that I love, but I struggle with it because sometimes it's hard to condense it into a short sentence in a nice, neat package. So I will try to be as concise as I can. But my path in energy medicine started long before I even had the language for it. And from a young age, I have always been fascinated by what drives us beneath the surface. And as I've gotten older, I've been even more curious of why some of us women seem alive in their skin, and while others, like I once was, feel like that they're just performing life and kind of feel like a flat tire. And years ago, I started noticing a pattern in my massage clients that after our sessions, even after they've seen other practitioners to make sure that there's no other diagnosis or anything else going on, that my clients' pain would soon return after treatment. And so I began to understand that so much of our pain isn't just physical, that it is emotional and it's energetic, and that our bodies hold all of those stories that our minds haven't yet processed. And it was during that time that I felt an unraveling in my life as well. On the outside, I looked fine, I suppose. I was a successful mom, a wife, a business owner, but really, on the day to day, I was exhausted, I was anxious, and I was quietly disappearing under the weight of all of the to dos and the responsibility. And it was during that time that my 12-year-old daughter had started to struggle. And it hit me that I wouldn't be able to help her towards her own wholeness and healing if I wasn't doing the work myself. And that really just split everything open and shifted everything going forward for me. And so I began to dive deeper into energy medicine, shamanic healing, Reiki, embodiment work, transformational coaching, you name it, anything that could help me understand why we disconnect from ourselves and how we can truly come back. And what I found was that healing happens when the body, the mind, and the spirit reconnect and start speaking the same language again. And that's what I've brought through in my Ignite Your Spirit method, where I help women clear those deeper energetic layers so that they're just not coping with life on autopilot, but they can really connect and feel it.
That is amazing sharing. I totally resonate with what you just said, Tanya, because that is also how I got into women's health and also got my passion in pelvic health just rise also because of my own personal healing journey. And that 100% resonate with what I wanted to share as well.
Yeah. So, what led you to really focus in on women's pelvic health, and why do you feel that it's such a key foundation in overall wellness?
Definitely. So by background, I am a physical therapist, and from working with a lot of people in the clinic or in like different settings, like or in their home or in online setting, I just find that most people, especially women, they just don't know how to take care of themselves.
Mm.
And a lot of people are struggling with their health because they they just don't know, and they want to just look good on the outside. They want to pretend that everything is well, and they also want to be a superwoman. And especially for those who are working mom, they want to show that they are able to manage their household, their kids, and also at the same time at work. And a lot of the time they are struggling inside and with no one really knowing what's going on. So by doing this work, I really want to encourage women to open up, to really to share um, not just the physical pain, but also the emotional aspect of pain, like exactly as what you just said, Tanya, and really to receive that healing and know that healing is possible. And they don't have to struggle on their own, and they don't have to hide um, what they are going through, whether it is physical or emotional pain. We are in a community of support that we can help uh, one another. And also from my training as a pelvic floor physical therapist, it just led me into deeper understanding of what our core system is. Uh, it's really there to support us as a foundation, and really, it's not just muscle, but also the emotional um, energy that we hold within our pelvic area. And that all have to be opened up and released in order to find healing. So all these work and all this experience, both clinically and personally, led me into a deeper understanding and interest in this area. And I really hope to share with more people around me. And so more people needs to receive this healing, and more people needs to receive it as a gift, and we have to stay stronger as women in order to serve our community.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful. I love your mission. Sounds like we have a lot of overlay and common ground.
Yeah.
And, I am a firm believer in that ripple effect that when one woman starts to heal, when anybody starts to heal, that it starts to then ripple out into family, into community, and the world beyond. And it also, when people are observing that, Henny, I believe that it also gives people permission of, like you said, when women are holding it all together and just keeping it all tight and we can do it all, to give permission for that pause and that inner reflection and being able to share. So thank you so much for your work that you do. That's super powerful.
Yeah. So Tanya, I also wanted to go into more about mind body energy connection, as you have mentioned. So from your experience, how do the physical symptoms like fatigue, tension, pain reflect what is happening energetically and emotionally? Would you like to share a little bit more about your
Yeah.
thoughts?
I would. Thank you so much for that. I always say that the body is the truth teller. It starts in whispers. And if we ignore it, then it really starts to get loud. And that's when we end up in health crisis. And I see fatigue and tension and pain that, like I had talked about earlier, that aren't just physical. Sometimes, sure, you sprain an ankle or you have an injury, there may have been some emotions before that that are still holding on to it. But there's so many other things that are just showing up as signals, as messages from our energy system saying something's out of alignment. You need to look at this. And it makes me think of a client who came to me recently, and she was just exhausted, depleted, and most importantly, she was frustrated because she had done all of the therapy. She had been doing meditation, doing yoga, all of the right things, but she was still running on empty. And as we began working with her energy body, what we found wasn't that she was laziness or she had a lack of willpower, but that it was deep over responsibility, like you were talking about earlier. And her system, physical, mental, emotional, energetic, had been holding everyone else's needs for so many years. And as we started clearing those patterns, she started saying yes to herself, giving herself permission, and her fatigue started to lift. She started to feel better. She was able to sleep better. And really, most importantly, too, she was discovering her joy and her sense of aliveness. And so I believe that when we listen to what the body is trying to tell us without judgment, without rushing to fix it, that grip of tension or whatever the unease or dis-ease is, it starts to release. And that's when what we've been holding on to so tightly finally has room to move.
I totally agree. So a lot of the physical symptoms that I see with my clients and also like even for myself, right? So a lot of it, it holds emotions in it. And yes, we can do treatments. Yes, we can do exercise. We can do stretches, but without releasing that emotion, that tension is always, always there. So I'm very thankful, Tanya, that you point out the emotion release aspect and really to listen, to be aware, and also to bring it up and open it up for healing. That is very, very important. Yeah.
You know,
So,
well,
yeah,
and I
so,
wanted to ask you, you
yeah.
had, I know you do a lot of nervous system resetting as well. So, what is your take on that connection between the nervous system, the emotions, and physical health?
Yeah, so nervous system actually it plays a huge role in our perception of pain and also our bladder control. I work with a lot of women who are frustrated because doesn't matter what they do, doesn't matter how many different treatments they get, and doesn't matter how good their habits are, they are struggling. They are still struggling with their bladder. They are still struggling with pain because what one thing that they have not addressed is their central nervous system. Because we can address all other physical aspect, but if we cannot rewire our nervous system, everything will just come back. So very, very important for women or for us to know that it is possible to rewire our system, rewire our central nervous system to calm us down so then we will experience less of physical response. And also another term is to really deactivate the sympathetic nerve and more activating the parasympathetic nervous system. So the body is more in line with healing and more programmed to for recovery and really to program to add to the empty inflammation rather than inflammation. So we have to really retrain our central nervous system on that.
Absolutely. I love that. That is
Yeah,
great.
that's great. So, in your work, what energetic or emotional blocks do you commonly see that are holding women back from healing or feeling fully grounded and alive?
Yeah, that's a great question too, and a complex one. I don't feel that it's just one, as you know, in your work. But one of the major blocks I see is over adaptation, I think, as the root, which then leads to disconnect and then guilt and even fear. And I have seen that most women have spent so many years being who they thought they needed to be, the
Right.
caretaker, the achiever, the peacekeeper, all of that. And we have learned to shape shift so well that we have become disconnected from our own energy and we don't even recognize what that is. And I think that's a key part of that disconnection from self, from energy, from higher self and spirit. And I talk about it of living from the neck up, right? We're managing, we're analyzing, we're doing, but the body is feeling numb or restless or fatigued. And then we find ourselves feeling guilty for wanting more, of wanting to take that rest or wanting to do things for ourselves. And I had a client who had told me she had been living in survival mode for so long that calm actually felt unsafe.
Right.
Like, wow, and so through the work of grounding, the nervous system regulation, repatterning, she learned to inhabit her own energy again and feel safe and calm in her body to get to that place of allowing joy in.
Right. Yes. So a lot of people, they need to learn how to relax, how to stay calm, because in our society, we're just programmed to, to act like to try to be the best, right? To be a overachiever. And we lack that feminine energy. And that is something that our work allow us to really to rediscover women's feminine energy. And yeah, so that's really something that I find valuable in our work. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So in your scope, what does that disconnection represent? And how can increasing that awareness start to shift it? Or what is it awareness that starts to shift it?
Yeah, so actually a lot of clients that I talk to, they just don't know. They don't know their own body parts, and they don't even know it exists, and they don't know how much pressure we are constantly putting into our pelvic area, our core systems, and they don't have the strength to hold anything. And when I actually touch them or ask them to touch themselves and really put their mind into their abdominal area, then they found, oh, for so many years, I haven't really felt, not even my pelvic area, my abdominal area. I didn't even know it exists because constantly they are on the go. They are the caregiver. They never really focus on or they never really care to themselves. And we hold so much pressure down in our pelvic area, and often the muscles, the ligaments, and everything are loose, and we didn't have any proper care to the pelvic area, and a lot of time that's when we have disease, or when we needed surgery, or when we needed some help, is because we just lack the care, we just lack the attention to that area. So yeah, so that is a very, very important topic that we have to bring to let everybody know, because most people, for everything, for healing to begin, it starts with awareness. Without being aware, you can't really do much. So being a good listener and being a good yeah, so practice your reflection and know your female body parts, and know how much pressure your core is supporting you, how much you are receiving from your from your pelvic organs, the energy, the connection, that is very important. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, that is deep work on so many levels, right?
Yeah. So, Tanya, for women who want to reconnect, actually for someone who feels energetically off balance or feeling drained, what is one grounding or realignment ritual that you would recommend to pay to others?
Yeah. So one of my favorite things is what I've called the HEART, the heart check in. because oftentimes the most powerful things aren't putting more things on our plate. It's about listening deeper, just like you were saying. And so, my HEART check in method is a quick reset that you can do anytime you feel off, scattered, emotionally flooded. And it helps bring your energy and your emotions back online and into alignment. Can I share really quick how that works?
Yeah, definitely.
So the H stands for honor the pause. And so when you notice the tension, overwhelm, stop, right? Just like you were saying, it's the awareness. Place one hand on your heart and one on your belly and take a slow, deep breath in. And the E is for emotion. And then ask yourself gently, what am I feeling right now? Just name it without judgment. Maybe it's frustration, loneliness, exhaustion, anger. And then A is for acknowledge the need. Every feeling points to a need. Maybe you need rest, you need connection with a loved one, or need clarity. And ask yourself, what is this emotion asking for? And the R stands for reconnect. And that's offering yourself some compassion and remembering that there's nothing to fix. It's just something to understand. And the T is for take aligned action. And that's one small thing that honors that need. So it might be taking a walk, saying no to a meeting or an extra task, or just simply sitting and breathing. And that's it. Really, it takes 1 minute of just truly being present with yourself, with your energy, to bring your focus back on your body, your truth, your energy, and your heart, because it is your compass. And when you listen to it, I believe that it will always lead you home.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah,
And
so
what about,
that reminds me of my heart wound meditation that I practice.
mm,
But yeah, so that is very, very yeah. So that really built on that connection. So very, very relaxing and really help with reconnecting and building your awareness back. So yeah, so I do see a lot of resonance and a lot of similarity in the work that we do. So yeah, so do you have anything that you wanted to ask me about uh or any exercise that you're interested in
yeah,
talking?
so I would be interested. I think you had talked about, you had mentioned was it the womb heart
Oh yeah.
meditation? Yeah, tell me more about that. I'm
Oh yeah.
interested in
So
that.
that
It goes hand in hand with what I had said at the beginning of hand on your heart
mhm.
and hand on your belly. So I would love to hear. I think maybe your listeners would have be able to maybe combine both of our methods at some point.
Yeah, so it is a Harvard meditation that I actually learned from a course that I took, and I've been actually applying and also teaching all my clients to practice at the end of the day is to put one hand on heart, one hand on your belly, and start to communicate and talk to your belly, checking in, see how are you doing, how are you feeling, and just treat your womb as your baby, not just the baby that you have given birth to, but your own womb, and checking in to see what she's trying to tell you, and checking in to and for emotion, and also uh, and trying to build a bridge between the womb and our heart, and knowing that our heart directly connect to our womb, and the connection will never be lost again. And by building that practice, it really helps us build awareness and connections. So it will become our daily habits of becoming more aware of our inner self, and to get into a constant um, habits of reflections. Yeah.
It's really beautiful just hearing you go through that. I was connecting with it myself, but being on camera, not letting myself totally
Yeah.
go there, but just in that little bit felt really calming and nurturing in a
Right.
way that I think you hit it right on the head, that it's coming back to that regular practice of something that nurtures, that supports us, and something that, as girls and young women, we're not taught to do, right? You're just rush,
Mm,
rush, rush, just go through from one thing to another and fall in bed and collapse and put it on repeat, right?
yeah. 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 So I'm gonna ask you one last question just to help help all our audience and see um, how they can connect with you. So after the talk, if they want to reach out to you, if they want to learn more about you, if you are able to share a little bit more about your work for soul healing and for alignment, and a little bit more about your program, and also how they can reach out to you if they want, if they need to. If you can
For
share, that would be
sure.
great. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So, if anything that I touched on today stirred something in you and you're ready to feel more connected, clear, and alive, I would start by listening to my private podcast. It's called Back to You, the Midlife Woman's Guide to Reclaiming Your Energy, Your Clarity, and Your Joy. And it's a 5-part journey designed to help you do just that: reconnect with your energy, remember who you are beneath all of the roles and the responsibilities. And you can find it at my website, soulfulheartalchemy.com, and I can share that with you, and we can put it in the comments as well. And if you're craving a live experience, I do have a workshop coming up on the 10th and 11th. So that's this Monday and Tuesday. It's a 2-day workshop. It'll be about an hour long for each session. And it's all about releasing what's been draining you, reigniting your spark for the season ahead, and really feeling coming back home to yourself. And I can put that link as well in the chat or in the comments, and you can find it on my website as well.
That is amazing. Thank you so much for your sharing. Don't forget to put it in. Yeah, so and because a lot of people, a lot of the women in my group who really wanted to hear more from you and your work. And thank you for today's sharing. So I hope to see you again, and for all my uh, everybody who are listening. So if you want to reach out to Tanya, please you can DM me, you can DM Tana, or you can visit her website, or you can yeah, just if you have any questions, feel free anytime you can reach out to both of us.
And thank you so much, Henny, for having me today. I absolutely loved this conversation, and I look forward to connecting more with you and your audience.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, have a good day.
Bye.